Hello and welcome to Traditional Stitches FlossTube video number 30. I'm Janice Spencer, the owner of Traditional Stitches, and with me today is Rose Heck, our Hands Along the Sea Sampler Stitch Along leader. Hi, Rose.
Hi, Janice.
Did you not know we were up to 30 already?
Nope. I was still on 26. So that's bad.
Stick with that theory. It's good.
Exactly.
So how's your month been? What have you been up to?
It's been a good month. It's been a relatively busy month, steady, and lots of stitching and lots of walks. And I think the next 2 days is going to be ending that because we're going to be getting a polar vortex, as you probably know. So, but yeah. So, yeah.
Well, I went to the attic in January. I went for Jean's Sampler Symposium, and it was simply lovely. We had a wonderful 5 days there. We spent a lot of time in Jean's shop. There were 150 attendees, so got to meet lots of people and see lots of stitching, and it was a beautiful weekend. So several floss tubers have done a fantastic job of covering the event. So if anybody is interested in more details, then I encourage you to go watch Susan Stanley's floss tube video or Brenda and Laura, the Serial Starters video, because they both did. And I'm sure that there's others, but those are the two that I happen to have watched. So.
I watched them also, and it was wonderful. It was almost like being there without being there. I would have loved to have been there, but I did see you a couple of times.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I don't think you were aware of it in the background, and that's when I first knew that you were there. No, it was all good. It was all good. It's like, oh, I know that person. There we go. What do they call that? Where you kind of drop in a picture, photobombed.
Okay.
That wasn't your intention, but it was nice to see the faces there and the projects. Wow.
Well, if anybody gets a chance to go, Jean's next event is going to be in June, and it's going to be on Bristol Sampler. So I did go to that one last year, and it was fantastic. So think about it. I don't know about Arizona in June. It was a little bit hot, but since we just moved from air-conditioned hotel to air-conditioned restaurant, it was all fun.
Yeah, you got a good point there. Are you going to the Bristol Sampler?
I don't know if I can. I have lots of work things happening in May and June. So I think my calendar's a little bit full and I have to pick and choose, but that's just how life goes some days.
Well, and I know a year ago when you went, you mentioned, we got in a conversation and I said I had an interest in colored Bristol, and you went, oh, I think there might be something coming. And Kathy Bournes of Diary of a Sampler Lover, pardon me, has been showing snippets. I think she's the model stitcher. So I'm wondering if that is the one. I don't know, but I've been watching it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So there was some allusion at this symposium about what was coming in June, and that was maybe one of the things that was dropped as a teaser. So
maybe. So that's exciting.
Yeah. So Jean should have all of those details released in her next newsletter whenever that happens. So yeah. Did you see the video that I recorded with Nicola?
Yes. Yes, I did.
So Nicola happened to bring the model for Lucy Barber Sampler with her to the attic so that we could do a FlossTube video and so that people could see the model in person. And so that was our most recent video. We've published it on January 16th. So you can go back in our channel and look at that and see the close-up details and the information that we talked about with Lucy Barber Sampler. But the other thing I really want you to pay attention to is the silly grins on Nicola's face and my face that totally gives away that we were having a blast that weekend. So
I kind of thought so. Absolutely.
So the purpose of today's video is to talk about getting started on our Lucy Barber Sampler in preparation for our stitch along start date on February the 14th. So that's coming up quickly. But before I jump into that, I did just want to talk a little bit about the next big thing that's on our radar at the shop, and that is the Nashville Needlework Market.
Mm-hmm.
So I leave for that on the 2nd of March. And we're starting to see a few sneak peeks, but we don't have enough details to put things on our website yet, but that's going to start any day now. And so we've created a special section for Nashville stuff, and I'll link that below. Now, Rose, when you worked in our shop a few years ago, you worked on the website. So you know how much work is involved in the month before Nashville for getting everything uploaded. And
I know when you, when I first started and you said, if you think you're busy now, just wait until Nashville. And I went, oh yeah. It came fast and furious. And there was sometimes it's like, I don't know how I can keep up with this. And those last couple of weeks, everyone has to keep a close eye on because it's constantly changing.
Yeah, it's a frenzy. And of course, we've got our website set up to take advance orders. So all that time we're working on kitting those orders and bringing in threads and ordering linen and keeping track of all of those advanced orders. So it's a lot of work, but it's so much fun. So I do expect that Diana, who's the gal who does all of our website work now, is going to be putting in a lot of extra hours in the next few weeks.
She will be.
Yeah. And so you and I might pop in with 1 or 2 extra videos too, because one of our favorite things to do with Nashville is each have like a top 10 list and just see how much overlap there is between your list and my list.
Correct. Yeah.
So you can watch for a video where Rose and I are doing our thing.
Every week I check to see Nashville Needlework 2023. Oh, no, there's nothing there yet. Oh, okay. Well, next week. And I think I looked last evening. It's like, oh, no, nothing there yet. Yeah. But I've been watching designers put sneak peeks out, and some of them are, full showing, and it's like, oh, this is going to be a good market. Yeah, I really have that feeling too. So anyway, so watch for a surprise video from us on that. This year we've decided that usually we have the Friday and Saturday after I get back from Nashville, we have an open house in the shop. And this year we're not going to do that. We just, the space is tight, the parking is tight. And the other thing is that we have so many advanced orders that we need to fill those first, and we need to fill our mail orders. And so the pressure to get everything shipped, priced, out on the floor, ready for market days is more than anybody's really up for these days. It'll take us a couple of weeks to work our way through the advanced orders as it is. So we're going to focus on those. So if anybody who is local wants advanced orders, just place them through our website or by email if we've got your information on file, and then we'll just handle it that way and arrange a curbside pickup. So that's all we can do these days. All righty. So now the star of the show, who we're all here for, is Lucy Barber. Yes.
So Lucy Barber is our current exclusive limited edition sampler from Hands Across the Sea Samplers. And we're just thrilled to have her. She's such a beautiful sampler. So our stitch along start date for this sampler is going to be on February the 14th, which I think is a Monday. And so we'll talk about that in a sec, but I did just want to give a shipping update for anybody who has ordered and is wondering where we're at with that. So if you were waiting for a kit with 28 count linen, so are we.
Oh.
Yeah, it hasn't come yet. I tracked the UPS shipment again today, and it looks like it should be delivered on Tuesday of next week. So as soon as it lands, it's going to be our #1 priority to get that cut and back out. I'm confident that everything is going to arrive to our stitchers in time for our February 14th start date, but some of these times these things are just out of control. my computer.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So, and then if people have ordered just in the last week or so, we're waiting on restock of DMC floss for kits, 18 count Ada and 40 count linen. So if those were part of your combination, that stuff is on order and should arrive to us in about 10 days, and then we'll get your kits out as fast as we can. You might start the stitch along a few days late, but there's plenty of month left, so that'll be okay.
If I could just interject here,
Yeah.
and you've probably seen on the Facebook page and elsewhere, they have been flying into people's mailboxes really quickly. And I have to just applaud you and your staff for getting things out so quickly. And I mean, we're not talking just Canada or US, we're talking international. So that's really exciting. So I think people have been asking, when is this starting? And I've been putting February 14th, and then I add tentatively. But it's looking like it's firming up more and more. So if you don't get your kit until a few days after, that's okay. That's okay. It'll still be there a couple days later. So yeah, join in whenever you can.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so a couple of other things. So the charts and the kits are still available right now. And we've got 32 count linen, 36 count linen, 46 and 56 count linen kits ready to be shipped with Soie d'Alger or 100/3. So it's just the ones that I mentioned earlier that we're waiting for, and we're turning around new orders within 3 to 4 days. So there's that. The one thing that is extremely limited edition is our frippery, our Mini McBean's needlework frippery that was the exclusive for Lucy Barber.
Right.
So this is her on my thread ring. This is the frippery, and it can be used as either a thread ring or a scissor fob. But we have received our final shipment of these. The charms that were used have been discontinued. So what we've got is what we've got. So as they sell out, and the website will, if you already ordered and received your kit, the website will certainly allow you to check out with just a frippery. So go ahead and grab them while you still can.
Good. Good to know.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to talk about getting ready to start stitching.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me what your thoughts are.
I have, well, I'm an upper left hand corner starter, as I believe you are also. And I always get a giggle when you see somebody that bottom right hand corner, and I wonder if, you know, for what reason, and it's interesting. And if you're a center starter, that's great too. Things are falling here. So I've already got my piece totally cut, serged. It's all done. It's all ready to go. The biggest thing that I will say is before I put any stitches in, I will double check where to start. You hear too often about the sad stories about, oh crap, I have it orientated wrong and I should have started here, so I'm not going to have any left. So I have to shorten my design. So I will double check that. I will be starting 3 inches in, and that's always a debate. That's up for debate, but I've got enough linen. I can start 3 inches in, and I'm on 46 count. Oh, what are you stitching on?
46 count with 100/3.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
same as you.
Yeah, okay. And I guess I will show the chart that has the monthly. Oh, this has gotten really smushed in my bag. But I should note that I have posted the chart with the layout a few times on the Facebook page. Not my intention. I put it in announcements. I don't remember, but I know when I put it in files, it also came into the regular posting. I went, okay, so it's definitely there. It's in files, it's in announcements, and if you scroll down, you'll find it too. So trust me, you should be able to find it.
Yeah, and
So,
I'll insert a screenshot here as well.
That would be perfect. So month one is going to be the start of that strawberry border and the little basket and the birds. This is not written in stone. Don't feel that you have to stop that bird there if you don't want to. If you want to continue just to finish it up, feel free to do that. So I tend to not like going around things. It takes a lot of extra work and on the computer to do this. So I would rather just do straight across and then at your discretion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, feel free to jog to complete a motif as you need to.
Exactly.
Lucy packed so much into this sampler that there was no clean space to put a full line across. So
No,
yeah,
no.
everybody, yeah.
And everybody that does a stitch along does it a different way. Some do hand drawn, and I do on the computer. I do a straight line across. So for me to start fiddling around takes double the amount of time. So yeah.
Well, we appreciate that you did that for us in the first place. So thanks.
Not a problem. I enjoy it. I think I've had that done for a while.
So the February 14th start date, that was actually Nicola's suggestion that that would be a special date for us to start our stitch along. And of course, there's so much red in Lucy Sampler, and I'm wearing my red sweater today as my symbol of red for Lucy. That Valentine's Day is just a really nice symbolic day to start such a pretty sampler with so much red.
It is.
In the booklet, Nicola has written a couple of pages about the history of red dye, in addition to the information that she's written about Lucy Barber. So it makes for a great read. Take the time to sit down with it and have a look through that. All right, Rose, so can you tell us a little bit about more about your process for getting ready to start a sampler like this?
I am a scroll frame stitcher. Very rarely do I stitch in hand. Very rarely do I stitch in Q-snaps. I like the tension that a scroll rod and scroll frame does. So I will be mounting it on my scroll bars. And I do start with a pin stitch. And for those that want to know how to do a pin stitch, I believe Nicola has a really good tutorial on how to start a pin stitch. And that is my process. And let me just take a look at the chart. In the upper left-hand corner, the one thing that I like with Nicola's charts is when you start in the upper left-hand corner, that is, you start counting there. I've seen some designers that don't chart quite that way, that when their graph paper is in the corner, you don't start counting there. I hope I'm explaining myself, but hers are very true to that's 0.0. And I will probably start the closest motif, which is the strawberry. Is it a strawberry border?
Yeah, oh, I think so.
Okay. I will probably start with the red, which seems appropriate.
You're talking about the dark red bottoms of these.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I will start there. So I'll start my pin stitch there, count over, and start that first flower. From there, I will get into the green meandering border.
Gotcha.
That is my placement. So, and I know, actually, if I look at it, I will probably put that in first, that meandering border, before I do any of the other flowers.
Right.
So, yeah, that's my plan.
All righty. So, I confess, I started.
Good for you. That's all I can say is I'm a little envious, but good for you.
Yeah. So I find myself in a position a few weeks ago of really being needing of some stitching therapy. And I wanted a project that was cross stitch for comfort. So looked around, and lo and behold, there was my Lucy Barber kit sitting out there. So I started. But the advantage of having started means that I can tell you guys things. So, and then the other thing that I wanted to remind everybody is that there's no stitching police. There are no rules. We're just doing the stitch along for the fun of it, but go ahead and do whatever makes you happy, because I'm making those choices these days, so you should too. So here is my start. And so I'll tell you that I did actually start in the middle, and this is on the 46 count linen. So I just started on the middle and then worked my way left to do the section, this number 1 section. Another confession is that I don't love stitching letters. So that's why that is, oh, actually it's blank because I don't like stitching them, but I put them in the wrong place. So I had to take them back out, and now I have to stitch them again. So that's my progress so far. The other word of advice I have is that Lucy was like many other girls, and her order is not consistent. It's not far off, but you do have to count and plan for that a little bit, because it will throw you off a little bit. So Nicola's talked about this before, is going through your booklet before you even start stitching and counting out the elements that do jog like that. So I won't show off too much, but you need to count your angles and write that number there, and count your cross and write that number there, because it's so easy for us to get into the habit of just chugging along and think that we can predict the pattern, and then we make a mistake and we're off. So
and it's really easy also to lose track of where you are when it looks like the border is just consistently, and you kind of fall in mesmerized. It's like, okay, where am I? Oh, okay, I think I did 16, so we'll do 16, you know, again, and type of thing, and wham bam, it catches you.
Yeah, so hopefully that will help you guys avoid some of the mistakes that I made.
Yeah.
The other thing that we need to talk about in the verse is the S's. So if people are stitching on linen, it's not going to be anything to even think about. But in the S's, there are multiple stitches that are 2 threads wide, but only 1 stitch high. And because I know that I've started these, I'll see if I can sneak in on one. I don't know if you can get enough detail to see that, but these little S's are stinking cute with just being 1 thread high. So it's definitely worth doing. And so you and I had talked a couple of days ago about what is the best choice for our Ada stitchers. And in my opinion, the best choice is to stitch those shorter X's, but you're just going to have to split the side of your block of Ada to get that thread in the right spot. I think it's worthwhile doing. You might have to switch over to a sharp needle to get it exactly where you want, but that's my suggestion. But Rose, you came up with a couple of solutions too. So
I did, and if you look at the size of the S's, they're 4 stitches wide by 5 high. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So I came up with 2 alternatives. One is 4 by 5. The other is 5 by 5. I'll show it here, but I'm also going to post it on the Facebook page. Okay. And I just used my phone. So there we go.
Yeah.
That's what I did. Okay. So I promise those that are looking at it go, well, you didn't leave it up enough. Well, I'll make sure I put that on. After this, I will post that.
Yeah,
so you have that. Okay.
Awesome. There are quite a few S's in the verse. So just keep that in mind. And I invite you to reach out to us via the Facebook group if you have any questions or challenges with that, because it is such a great group. Somebody will be able to help you, and certainly you or I will be able to give more words to what we're talking about.
Yeah,
good.
Exactly.
The only other section that people might have a little bit of a challenge with is the at the very bottom, so we won't get there for a long time. But these roses on the bottom, those
Yeah.
are satin stitch. And Nicholas tells me that she did them padded. So we'll talk about ideas for that, but that's not for another 10 months or so. So we'll tackle that then.
Right. Right.
And if you don't want to do satin stitch, you can just fill that with cross stitch and you'll be able to know how to do that when you get to it. And you do that outline and then just fill it in with cross stitch.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about unpicking that alphabet on my linen. So of course I stitched the alphabet in the darkest red color in the whole sampler, and I had quite a bit in when I had to unpick it. So I used this boo-boo stick.
Yeah.
So what they say to do with it is to clip your threads and then use this to kind of brush up your clippings. So I don't like to clip all of the stitches on the back of my project because I'm always worried that I'm going to snag a linen thread. So usually I unpick and just keep unpicking with my needle. But there was still plenty of fibers in the linen. So this thing I just used to kind of brush and take them up.
Yeah.
So it is, it's a boo-boo brush and it's made by Yarn Tree. So that's what I used.
A couple of years ago, a floss tuber talked about a boo-boo brush. And at the time, I didn't know where to find them. I don't even think Amazon, but now I know you had it. And I never think about picking one up. Red is the worst, though, for leaving fibers and the color. So.
But they're successfully, those stitches are out, and I've started gradually restitching. So, yeah.
Good.
So just keep your landmarks, the things that you're counting off of, keep those in mind and have multiple places that you want to count off of for each of the motifs. And then you don't have to unpick too much, like a whole verse. So yeah, that's my confession.
Well, and that's okay. Like you said, there's no stitching police, and it's kind of nice to see, progress, to see, learn from your mistakes. I guess it's interesting though. You started at the center top. That's a new way of starting.
Yeah.
And the one thing we do not have in common is you don't like stitching letters. I love stitching letters.
Oh,
absolutely love stitching letters. So.
Well, perhaps we could negotiate a trade.
Yeah, that's right. Don't I like stitching vines? I like stitching vines.
Okay.
So
we'll keep that in mind.
I tolerate.
So I thought I would just run down a list of the things that are in my stitching nest while I am stitching this and the supplies that I'm using for Lucy. So I had to, of course, dig out my favorite red needle minder. So this, is my red wine bottle needle minder, and of course it matches all the red with Lucy, so we're going for a theme here.
I didn't even notice your stitching. I noticed the needle minder first.
So the needles that I'm using are Bowen Tapestry number 28. I'm working on 46 count linen, but it's a Zweigart base. It's not too tightly woven. So the tapestry needle point is working fine. I know lots of people like to use the tapestry point beading needles for this combination, but I'm finding that I don't need that. So. And there's no over one on this sampler either. So that's the other place a beading needle comes in handy, is when you have to tie in your tail at the back. And so because this is cross stitch over two, the back is not too tight and your tapestry needle will work just fine. I have my sampler mounted in an American Dream Products frame and with the twill tape. So I just ran, I don't know if you can see them, I did it in a yellow thread. I just ran some long basting stitches on the top and the bottom just to hold it. And it's nice and tight. Like there's not too much flop on the sides, but there might get to be as I work on it. But that's my go-to scroll frame. And we carry those in the shop too, because they're relatively inexpensive and easy to get.
Yep.
So that frame is mounted in my Lowry floor stand with the corner clamp. And I'm actually going to try and take some pictures before I publish the video of my stitching setup, just so that people can see. I have a daylight lamp with a magnifier in it that's very utilitarian. It is certainly not a thing of beauty, but it is so versatile, and I have several of them because I like them so much. My 100/3 threads are in floss away bags. And do you have yours in floss away bags too?
Oh, definitely. I use that pretty well for everything.
Yeah.
Except for DNC, but
On the thread ring with my frippery.
naturally.
And so I really prefer floss away bags for using silk, because I find that floss tags or whatever have too much friction and kind of take off the shine of the silk. The other thing that's really great about these floss away bags is that if you have leftover thread like this, I just twist it around my finger to make it in a nice little shape like that, not a tangled mess. And you just pop it in the bag, sealed bag, and you're done. So, and then the other thing I do with the 100/3, I haven't done it here, but I always do it, is write the number there, because the numbers on these teeny tiny little spools are weensy and sometimes they're really hard to read. So then if it's written on the space here, then they're really quick to grab.
Well, and even if you're using hand-dyed cotton floss, let's say Gentle Art, they come with a number and a name. I will put the number, the name, and then at the bottom, and I'm just showing, I will put the acronym GAST, or in this case, I put S103 and so on, because sometimes you lose those tags. And so at least you have a record of what that is in the bag. So, yeah.
So,
you can't document enough.
No, and those little white boxes have enough space too that you can write hats LB in there or something if you want to also record what project you originally bought it for, and then they're easy to move on to your next one once you finish Lucy Barber.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing that I've been using is this highlighter tape. And so the reason why I use it is because I really prefer, if I cut a length of red thread, to use it up as much as I can. So I do a bit of jumping around in my stitching. So for example, there's little pink flowers right here. And so I wanted to remind myself that I need to go back to stitch that little flower. So I use just a little teeny tiny piece of this highlighter tape and put it on the chart. And then when I think I'm done, I go back through and check for any of those that might have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of a reminder.
Well, then you don't have the issue that you had with peacock, unicorn, and badger.
Well, except for that I use that method there too. So it's a good theory, but it's not foolproof.
Okay. I don't actually use my highlighter tape for highlighter tape. I put it on, and because it's kind of see-through, I can see what's underneath it. And then sometimes I don't get it on the line. So I've created my own problem by doing that. I tend to, look ahead. So it's like, this isn't working for me. So I like that idea, just to, mark what you need to go back and do.
Yeah, because it's removable. So when I have done that section, I'll just take it off and move it to the next thing I need to remind myself to stitch or toss it or whatever. And so it works really good. And it's in a variety of colors, so you could set up a whole strategy about how you used it if you wanted to do that.
The other thing you could use it for is, if you don't like to mark up your chart, if you want to keep it, well, after a year, they don't look pristine anymore, but you can always put it on each section where you said that they're uneven, and just write, 16, 15 type of thing.
True.
And you can mark that throughout the whole thing. And as you've done a section, yank it off so you know that you've completed that. So there's more than one use for the highlighter tape.
Yeah, good tips. Excellent. Anyway, so other than the alphabet, I am really enjoying stitching Lucy, and I can't wait to spend more time with her this evening. So now, one thing that I did want to show you guys on the chart is my clever friend Janine Cheney, who owns Acorns and Threads in Portland. I brought her this chart to see, and also she was at the attic, so she got to see the stitched model. And she pointed out that this reindeer has 2 red stitches here. And if you look on the chart, it is actually his tongue or his lips or something like that there in a but she is calling him Rudolph. So I think that when I get to that part of the sampler, I'm going to just give him a red nose instead of red lips.
Yeah, okay. When I look in the larger the centerfold, you can actually see the brown and the red. But in the small one, all I see is red. It really takes over.
Yeah. So isn't it interesting the things that appear to people when they look at a sampler? Like that is not, I wouldn't have noticed it until it was time to stitch it, and then I would have just stitched it the way that it's charted. But I kind of like that idea.
I do too. What was it, a week or 2 ago? It was National Bird Day. So I had just put, Lucy as part of it. And then I counted how many birds are on here. I think I counted 11 birds. Oh. I think I said 9, and then someone says, oh, there's 2 more. And I went, oh, yeah, there is. So this is, she really liked her birds.
Yeah. Oh, so much fun.
I know.
So you're going to not have any confessions, and you're going to wait until February 14th to put your first stitches in, and do at some point in the day a short Facebook Live just to share that with everybody as everybody gets started on the stitch along. Right.
Yeah. I'm not sure when. It might be early in the morning before my hubby goes to work and he can hold the iPhone for me. Unless I can figure out how to set it up and so that you can see what I'm stitching and not my face. So.
Well, we like both, but if it's early in the morning, you might have preference.
Exactly.
So the plan for the stitch along is to publish a video talking about the upcoming section on or about the 14th of each month. So the next time that we're going to talk about this is going to be about the 14th of March, and that's when we'll be moving on to part 2. And but of course we'll be visiting in the Facebook group and everything, and we might have a Nashville video in the meantime. But until then, Rose, do you have other things to show us that you've been stitching while you've been waiting?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've got well, I can show you. Well, maybe I should go in order of how it's stacked here because my stack will fall down. Another hats. I started this as my New Year's Day start, and true to my word, I did. And I really had a tough time switching to another piece. So this is Miss Mary Ann Bournes.
Wow.
She is the first hat sampler that Nicola published in 2016, I want to say.
That sounds right.
I started this and oh my goodness, the colors are muted, but they're regal until you get to that very bright bird. So, I don't think you can really tell. There's a lot of satin stitching, and I'm not double. I am going over double, but I'm not like double padding where it's go one way and then stitch the other way. So I'm working this 40 count. No, I don't remember now. It might be fawn. No, it's vintage sand dune, and I'm using Soie d'Alger floss, silk floss. Oh. And she's gorgeous. I want to get back to her, but I've got to bide my time. I got too many other things. So the other piece that I'm presently working on, and I won't show the other hat's one that I haven't worked on her for a couple weeks because she's a stitch along. But the other one I'm stitching is the Scarlett House Smith sampler.
I love that sampler.
I do too. The
It
colors
calls to me every time I have the chart in my hands.
Well, and I believe this piece when I had bought the floss and you were handling the floss to put it through the till and you went, these colors are gorgeous. What is this for? And every time I work on this, it's like, oh, this is so gorgeous. So this is vintage. Yeah, Miss Marianne Bournes must be fawn. This is vintage sand dune and all of the silk floss. So it's Gloriana, it's Dinky Dyes, and Belsois.
Oh, it just is so lovely.
It is. And sorry, go ahead.
Good choice. Excellent choice.
It
Oh,
is. It's beautiful. So I've been working on her. And yeah, I'll go back to Miss Marianne Bournes until the stitch along for Lucy comes out. And then I have another stitch along that I'm working, like I said. And yeah,
Cool.
that's about it. And what about yourself?
I've only been working on Lucy. So that's kind of my plan going forward. So I'll just keep stitching away and see how it goes. And hopefully there's no more unpicking.
Maybe we should make bets to see how long you'll before you get that one done. Let's see, March 3rd. No, I just kidding.
Yeah,
It could be.
Yeah. Well,
I know
you
how
know,
you stitch.
well, I have a job to do. I have to make a shop model. So that's really, it's just being responsible.
Yeah.
It's tough. I know it's tough. Yeah. All right, Rose. Well, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And the visit. And we'll put our heads together and see what we come up with closer to Nashville time.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm keeping my eyes open.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.